So this is a very stupid application which will help us showcase the performance issues of having enormous amount of DOM elements inside your page. So as you take a look at this application, we have here a main component where we have an ng4 which iterates over that list, and that list is actually an array of 100,000 entries. And in fact, if you go over here and scroll down, you see a huge amount of elements. Let's open the element panel a second. If I open here at AppRoot, you can see I click. There's even a lag in the Chrome DevTools of opening up here all those divs which are inside that AppRoot component. In fact, also if I refresh the page, you can see the delay in the startup time. So what we want to do is now optimize this, because actually we don't want to render all of the items, but just those items the user actually sees. This is what is called virtual scrolling. If you go over to material.angular.io, we have here a section CDK, which is the component development toolkit, which is a set of components which are independent of material design, which would rather help us create better and more performant application. And one of those components which you have is the scrolling. And that scrolling has also a virtual scroller in place, which we will use now to optimize our application. So the first step is obviously to install the Angular CDK, and we do that by npm install at Angular CDK. Now I have already installed that. If you go to the package.json, you can see here the CDK being installed. And so the next step is to actually use that scrolling module. Now let's go back for a second to the documentation. Let's go to the very top. We can see here that scrolling module. So let's copy that, go over to our app module and import that as usual. And we will reference it here in the import section, of course. Once we have that, we have our application set up. Let's go to the app component, and we want to make this actual virtual scrollable. And so what we have to do here is to use the CDK virtual scroll viewport. Let's enclose our whole template into that tag here. And that virtual scroll viewport needs a couple of inputs. You will also see this if you save it for a second, then go here to our console, and you can see then we get an error because we need the item size. The item size is how big basically our entry is in our list, such that then the virtual scroller can calculate how many items will actually fit in the current viewport. So let's go here and specify the item size, let's say 18 pixels. And then we also want to limit the height here of that whole scroll viewport. So let's say here style, height, let's save. You can now see the list is smaller, but we still have a lot of elements inside here. Let's open here the AppRoot CDK virtual scroller, which wraps it now. But as I open here the inner div, which hosts all of our DOM elements, still all of them are there. So it seems that virtual scrolling is actually not working. The reason is that we have to exchange here our ng4 with the one provided by the virtual scroller from the Angular CDK. And it is basically called CDK virtual 4. Once you have that, let's save again. You can now see already how fast our application is to boot up. So if I do a refresh again, you can see it's already here. Let's inspect here our DOM tree. If I navigate in here, the div, it opens immediately. You can see here the elements which are present on our page, which go until 23. Now, if I scroll, you can see that further elements are being added as I scroll, and the ones at the very beginning are being removed. So we always have a fixed set of elements inside here, which allows us to have basically fast scrolling, so the scrolling doesn't suffer in performance, but still we have a very fast startup time because only a finite set of elements is actually rendered on our page.